for Trump. If you aren't Trump, swipe on. Dear Trump, let Yilmo remind you that you run a country with 600,000 homeless people sleeping on the street tonight. A country where 40% of adults can't cover a $400 emergency without having to borrow money. A country where insulin costs more than a car payment and people are rationing it to survive. A country where medical debt is the #1 cause of bankruptcy. A country where women are dying in hospital car parks because doctors are too scared of abortion laws to treat a miscarriage. You lock up more of your own citizens than any nation on earth. More than China, more than Russia, more than North Korea. The land of the free has 2 million people in cages, and a quarter of them haven't even been convicted of anything. They're just too poor to make bail. Your life expectancy is going backwards. You're the only developed nation where that's happening. Your infant mortality rate is worse than Cuba's. Your kids do active shooter drills between maths and English while you sell the gunmaker stock to your mates. Your minimum wage hasn't moved in 15 years. You've got teachers working multiple jobs, and veterans sleeping under bridges, and you just spent $1 trillion flattening a country that didn't attack you. And you've got a convicted felon, adjudicating raping, pedophile protecting, porn star shagging, insurrectionist, running the biggest dumpster fire war campaign since the Taliban. Thank you very much for losing again. And you're calling Greenland poorly run? Greenland has universal health care, free education, one of the lowest incarceration rates in the world. Nobody goes bankrupt there because they got sick. Nobody dies in a waiting room because their insurance said no. You once said NATO wasn't there when we needed them. Hey champ, remember September 11th? Because NATO invoked Article 5 for the first and only time in history for you. Soldiers from dozens of countries deployed, fought, bled, and died in Afghanistan for you. Australia wasn't even in NATO, and we still showed up for 20 years. And you pulled out without telling anyone and left them to deal with the mess. So maybe before you start calling other countries poorly run, have a look at your own backyard, you spray-tanned aluminum siding salesman. The only thing poorly run in this picture is your fucking mouth. Yelmo understands the orange dictator won't have watched this, especially because Yelmo isn't a child he wants to rape. But thankfully, you there, on your phone, have now watched this video. Watching, commenting and sharing videos that share your thoughts and beliefs, like this one. Help the algorithm share these views with the masses. So please, help a little yellow fluffy Yelmo out by commenting, liking, and sharing. Sharing is caring. Because it's not the violence of those that are bad, but the silence of those that are good, that could lose us this battle for humanity. Before Yelmo leaves you, let Yelmo remind you of this. On the day Yelmo is posting this video, it has been 154 days since the Epstein files were to be released in their entirety, unredacted. As of today, May 22nd, 2026, only an estimated 58% has been released based on reported page counts. Some say even less has been released, as most has been redacted, removed, or still under review. It's time to turn these files into trials. Stay on Epstein. Get Trump on Epstein, then we can deal with is not real. This message is for Trump. If you aren't Trump.
Disclaimer: content in this video is for informational purposes only and is not intended as professional advice. The views and opinions expressed in this video are those of the author TurboWorld and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, entity, organization, employer, or company. No warranties. This video is provided as is without any representations or warranties, express or implied. TurboWorld makes no representations or warranties in relation to the completeness, accuracy, reliability, suitability, or availability of the information contained in this video. Any reliance you may place on such information is strictly at your own risk. Limitation of liability: in no event will TurboWorld be liable for any loss or damage, including without limitation, indirect or consequential loss or damage, or any loss or damage whatsoever arising from loss of data or profits arising out of, or in connection with, the use of this video. External links. Any links to external websites or products mentioned in this video are provided for convenience and informational purposes only. They do not constitute an endorsement or approval by Turbo World of any of the products, services, or opinions of the corporation or organization or individual. Turbo World bears no responsibility for the accuracy, legality, or content of the external site or for that of subsequent links. Some of these links are affiliate links where Turbo World will earn a small commission if you make a purchase. Shopping through these links is a great way to support the channel, so Turbo World can keep making helpful videos for you. Thank you so much. Professional advice. The transformed artistic content in this video does not constitute professional advice and should not be relied upon as such. Always seek the advice of a qualified professional regarding any questions you may have about any concerns. Changes. Turbo World reserves the right to make changes to this disclaimer at any time. Your continued use of the content following any changes signifies your acceptance of the revised terms and agreeance to the terms. Copyright. All these uploads are my own intellectual property. You nor anyone else does not have permission to reuse any part of them without Turbo World's written consent. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. The fair use of a copyrighted work, including such use by reproduction in copies or phonorecords or by any other means specified by that section, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarship, or research, is not an infringement of copyright. Sponsored by AT&T. 17 U.S.C. 107, United States Code, Article 107. Fraudulent DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act, takedown requests will not be tolerated. This includes the most common violation, takedown requests through media outlets such as YouTube. Fraudulent DMCA takedowns, which include false YouTube copyright infringement claims, are illegal, a violation of Romans 13, and are punishable by law. Any person who knowingly materially misrepresents under this section 1. That material or activity is infringing, or 2. That material or activity was removed or disabled by mistake or misidentification, shall be liable for any damages, including costs and attorney's fees, incurred by the alleged infringer, by any copyright owner or copyright owner's authorized licensee, or by a service provider, who is injured by such misrepresentation, as the result of the service provider relying upon such misrepresentation in removing or disabling access to the material or activity claimed to be infringing, or in replacing the removed material or ceasing to disable access to it. 17 U.S.C.A. 512, Article 17, United States Copyright Act, Section 512. Fair Use Review, 18 U.S.C. $241. https://www.att.com/dmca. This message is public notice and free speech protected by our nation's Constitution. This message is for educational purposes and entertainment, and does not represent legal advice or service. Turbo World Network is solely responsible for the content of this video. According to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, the platforms which carry our content are legally transformed fair use media, and our messages are not the content creators of our posts, and are not responsible for the contents of this message in any way, and therefore have no right to label, suppress, or remove our content. Anyone removing this message without our consent, or without legal grounds, will be subject to major monetary penalties which apply fully and separately to all responsible parties and their organizations. Any defamatory labeling or removal of this message by the host platform or any other outside party or agency without our consent, constitutes agreement to those terms. Any person representing this message as unreliable or removing this message or ordering its removal without prior notice to us and without authorization from us, will thereby be agreeing to pay major additional monetary penalties for that nuisance, violation and damage. Our nation's Constitution prohibits censorship of, and interference with this message, and 18 United States Code 241 says it is a conspiracy of my rights if two or more conspire to deny my rights on any level, to share, create, express and speech. That is punishable by death sentence if death is involved, and always is a felony. Our transformed creations, video, voice, text, ideas, art, expression are all protected by PUBL No. 105 to 304, 112 STAT 2860, October 28, 1998. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Protected under copyright law, U.S. Code 17, Sections 107 to 118. We are in compliance with 17 U.S.C. $512 and the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA. This message is for educational purposes and entertainment, and does not represent legal advice or service. Turbo World Network is solely responsible for the content of this video. According to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, the platforms which carry our content, are legally transformed fair use media, and our messages, are not the content creators of our posts, and are not responsible for the contents of this message in any way, and therefore, have no right to label, suppress, or remove our content. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees 5 key freedoms: freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, and the right to petition the government. Conspiracy against rights. Section 241 makes it unlawful for 2 or more persons to agree to injure, threaten, or intimidate a person in the United States in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his or her having exercised such a right. Unlike most conspiracy statutes, 241 does not require, as an element, the commission of an overt act. The offense is always a felony, even if the underlying conduct would not, on its own, establish a felony violation of another criminal civil rights statute. It is punishable by up to 10 years imprisonment unless the government proves an aggravating factor, such as that the offense involved kidnapping, aggravated sexual abuse, or resulted in death, in which case it may be punished by up to life imprisonment and, if death results, may be eligible for the death penalty.